Alright guys, what up? Welcome. I wanted to give a little bit of time to give people a chance to get here, because I know what's going to happen is I'm going to do like the first profession or whatever, and then everyone's going to be like, everyone who comes like an hour later is going to be like, oh my god, has he already done Weaver? Has he done Weaver yet? And then people are going to be like, yes, and they're going to be like, god damn it, now I got to watch the VoD. And I don't really... I want to give people some chance to get here before we go over stuff. And so, one of the things I want to do is go over possible builds for the elite specs. Obviously, nothing that I'm going to go over today is going to be necessarily like min-maxed or anything like that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of like refinement and making sure the Condi duration is balanced with the Condi damage, etc. And all that. So don't gear your characters based on what you see here today, but this is sort of like ideas. And so and some of the stuff might not even turn out to be good. Like, the first build that I'm going to talk about today is the Condi DPS Weaver that I think has a definite potential, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good. It might just be that it's not worth doing, or that Tempest does it better, or that there's just no spot for it in the meta, so that people don't pursue it. But I think I just want to go over it because it is definitely, I think, worth talking about. And hey Nico, what's up, dude? So let's go into it a little bit. All right, so we're gonna start with, like I said, the Condi DPS Weaver. Now, like I said, entirely possible that Tempest is just better at might stacking and DPS than the Weaver. I suspect the Condi Weaver will out DPS Tempest, but I don't know if it'll stack as much might. But the good news is that the Tempest way overstacks might. I know the Tempest like stacks like, oh shit, what? Oh my god, Hippie Bongshay with the sub. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Way to interrupt the stream with your fucking sub. Thank you so much. But I appreciate that, dude. But the Condi, oh my god, what? So, all right, I guess we'll never get to talk about elite specs because of the sub train. All right, well, that was a good stream, guys. We covered everything we needed to cover. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. But anyway, so the Condi Tempest, especially with Scepter, makes more might than it could possibly ever need. So even if the Condi Weaver makes less might, it'll still probably make enough to be viable. So obviously we want Fire Sig there. I don't even know what other things that the Condi thing would want. It doesn't particularly matter. Alright, Weaver, and obviously Fire Magic, and Arcane. Although Earth we'll look at Earth, I guess, but I think that Arcane is going to be likely better, but I don't know that for a fact. So Fire, it's pretty obvious, you just take the top ones, same thing that the Condi build does currently. So yeah, those are all self-explanatory. Arcane, you want to take the top one so that you burn on crit, which is pretty good. And then in Earth, which might be relevant to Weaver, you have bleed on crit. And then we're gonna take fire shielding, which doesn't, just because there's really nothing better here. And then we go with elemental surge. Obviously, quite good. Then we want to go back. Glyph of Elemental Power. And then, I don't know, I guess Arcane... Oh, yeah, I guess Arcane Powers probably the best because you share your things. All right, so we got the skills set up. We got the traits. Now for Weaver, one interesting thing, the most likely that this critical chance trait is going to be the best for Condi Weaver, although you don't really have a way to really perma-weakness people. You kind of count on other people. But Master's Fortitude, this is very, very underrated, trait. You might go, oh, well, who needs defense in PvE, yada, yada, yada. But you'll see with full Sinister or whatever, or full Vipers, this is going to give, like, over 3,000 HP. 3,000 HP. 3,000 HP on a class with only, like, base 9,000 HP is a fucking huge deal. So I'm inclined to think that this is pretty good. Like, we go from base 11,000 or whatever and go up to 12. We haven't even picked gear yet. Obviously, we want the condition damage and condition duration. It's going to be better than the power options. And then, most likely, we just want Elements of Rage. It doesn't really do too much for a Condi build, but there we go. My guess is that we're going to... Oh, let's put that to PvP. I would say that we're going to want... let's just do Sinister. I know that there's like a min-max between Sinister and Viper, but just for the sake of this, like you can go to QT's website or whatever if you want to see like what the exact breakdown is between Sinister and Viper. Where is Balthazar? There we go. But we'll just go full Sinister for the purposes of this. Oh, not Scepter, or not Carrying, please. And go Smoldering, and whatchamacallit, permanent bonus, Bursting. Alright, and then Fire Meat Chili, I believe it is. There we go. Where is it? They don't even have it on here? Oh no, there it is. Fire Meat Chili. Boom. So where's condition duration? Alright, so we got burning 100%. We're probably a little bit overcapped that way. So anyway, that gives us... so I think this build for Weaver has a pretty good chance of being... obviously, we probably want... I mean, you don't even probably need Fire Meat Chili, actually, but whatever. You can probably get away with other stuff. Toxic Focusing Crystals there. I think we're way overcapped, actually. I'm not sure why it says condition... Oh, condition duration 0%. Interesting. Anyway. So we have... So what this build's going to do is it will stack a shit ton of might with the Dragon's Tooth going into the fire field pretty much constantly. When you swap to Earth, which you'll do every now and then, which you'll do as part of your rotation, you will be able to use Fracturing Strike, which is going to do more burning, 12 seconds of burning. And my guess is it's going to be a pretty easy rotation. You're obviously going to cast your utility skills on cooldown. When you go Fire, you're going to use Dragon's Tooth, Ring of Fire, Phoenix. Like, you're just going to have might out the ass. In fact, Fire Grab is probably worth using even in this build. I don't know how it'll look on the benchmark. But the rotation would most likely be just swapping between fire and earth. I doubt you want to... You probably do not want to use earth main hand at any point. You probably just want to go like fire, earth, fire, 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 earth, fire, 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 earth, fire, fire. You just want to be in earth often enough to cast the Fracturing Strike. Pretty good skill. And then obviously you will also get access to another blast finisher. So this build will stack a shit ton of might. It will probably do... I'm just going to guess that it's going to out DPS the Tempest. Definitely if you use Dagger main hand. It's entirely possible that you want Dagger main hand because Drake's Breath is just so fucking broken. But I don't know if this will make enough might. It probably will make enough might just because you get... And see, the problem also with the Dagger is that Ashen Blast is trash. And there becomes less of a need to go to earth. Like, if you would pretty much just want to camp fire if you're using Dagger. But if you use Scepter, then you want to go to earth because Fracturing Strike is actually a pretty good skill. And I suspect when POF releases, I think you're going to see a lot of these dual skills get buffed to be a little bit better. And a little bit more powerful. So obviously, that is what I think for the Condi DPS Weaver. Now, why would anyone use this instead of a second warrior? Well, I suspect that, well, for now, probably no reason, but I think we can all agree that Condi DPS probably does a bit too much DPS for the amount of buffs that it gives out. So what I expect is Condi DPS to get buffed. Maybe not with POF, but with like maybe a later balance patch. It'll get toned down a little bit to the point where you're only going to want one warrior, and this will be a definite viable alternative for the second might stacker in the other group. And I was suggesting Balthazar runes for this one. But yeah, this trait that does the 20% outgoing. Or the 10% condition damage outgoing, that's just going to be pretty big. So anyway, pretty decent build. Let's see. Hey Jeremiah. So for power, like let's just for a second. Well, just quickly want to talk about the power Weaver. So I'm not sure what. Obviously, people that are more into playing Weaver than I would would maybe Theorycraft a little bit differently. But I imagine that you're going to want Fire and Weaver. The question is whether or not you're going to want Arcane or not. I think Arcane is probably going to be the way to go for power. And the big question will be, do you want Sword? Now, the Sword we saw in the beta weekend was weak. Like, the Fire and Air skill, like, this should be the fucking most broken skill in the game. Like, Pyro Vortex, this should be the most OP skill in the game, but unfortunately it isn't really. This was like all the sword skills in general were weak. They weren't good enough, and it was pretty obvious that Staff was just a much better thing to play for Power Weaver. Hopefully ANET will buff Sword before release, and we'll see a much stronger Sword Dagger build for Weaver when it comes out. But that's all speculation based on balance that we haven't seen yet and might not actually happen. I think Fennec posted a video and like a preliminary build for Staff, and the traits probably looked very much like this. And the gear is probably the exact same as the current arcane build. So that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on for Weaver. So after Weaver, move on to let's skip over Warrior because I don't think Spellbreaker is going to be viable in PvE. We'll have Ranger. Stop me if you guys have seen this one before. It's going to be Axe Torch and Shortbow on swap. Specialization, we're going Soulbeast, and then Skirmishing, and then Wilderness Survival. Boom, 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 and then boom, boom, boom. Alright, so for Soulbeast, like, the traits in Soulbeast are probably the weakest thing for Condi. They're mostly like, I mean, twice as vicious is pretty cash money. It's 5% outgoing Condi damage, but the rest of the stuff, like a lot of it's sort of like, okay, your attacks are unblockable. It's not relevant in PvE. Give like self-buffing Fury and quickness, not really that important, and then self-buffing there, but it's almost certainly going to be that. Conditions inflict less damage to you, not a big deal. Obviously, Predator's Cunning is going to be good. Lifesteal when you apply poison. I don't know if there's like an ICD on this trait. Predator's Cunning with Shortbow number 2 would proc this 5 times. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good trait. Let's see. And I really like Leader of the Pack. I wish the stances were a little bit stronger. The stances are kind of weak. But Oppressive Solidarity, pretty strong. It sucks that the boring trait that's just like, oh, guess what? Guess what? You just get 10% Condi duration. Whoop-de-doo. It's funny that doesn't show up here. I guess they're assuming you don't get it, but you actually do. Like, it would be way cool to play a build, like sort of a more supporty build, or if one of the stances buffed your allies, to be able to take Leader of the Pack and have like a really cool build. But unfortunately, I don't think that any of them are good enough in PvE to pass up Oppressive Superiority. The best, like this heal, I don't know, it's not even good. Not for PvE anyway. You still want We Heal as 1. We'll still want Sharpening Stones. We're still going to want the Poison Trap. We're still going to want Flame Trap. Although, in the future, potentially, we're not going to have... I mean, potentially, you might have a situation where you don't want 2 Druids. If we ever get to a point where you don't want 2 Druids, and you can always swap out Flame Trap for Sun Spirit so that your group on Soulbeast has Sun Spirit, and it doesn't really hurt your DPS that bad, actually. Yeah, so that's an option. And I believe, where is it? No. Which one's Bristleback? It's probably its own thing, right? Yeah. So Bristleback is almost certainly going to be the best thing for Soulbeast. Just a heads up, if you're looking to play Soulbeast in POF and you don't own HOT, you're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage because I believe Bristleback is the most powerful pet because these skills are like really kind of OP. The merge skills. So yeah, I would look into getting HOT just to get these if I was a hardcore Soulbeast player, that is. And then obviously, not much is going to change here. You're going to want Condi damage, where is it? Oh, I guess they list Vipers as power. Interesting. And then Vipers. Vipers. And then you want Trapper. Trapper. And then Nightmare. Do I think Viper stats are still going to be optimal? Yeah, I don't think... I mean, it's possible with... so the last build we were looking at was the Scepter Weaver PS build sort of thing. Might stacking thing. And there is a very good chance that that build will use Grievers. Because stuff like Dragon's Tooth and Fire Grab and Phoenix hit really hard. And so, yeah, maybe they will want Grievers, but that's gonna there's no way that we can know that without being able to benchmark on the Golem. So, I mean, don't go out and buy full Sinister gear if you don't have it yet, because it could just be that Grievers is better, and you never know. Condition duration, you go with Koi Cakes, and... Alright, so this is sort of... I guess you could go... weapon swap, you want Geo. Where's Geo? There we go. Now, I'm not sure if you want Malice or not. I'm guessing you do. This will get you to 100% or close to. It'll get you to 99.07% Condi damage. No, I honestly don't know as far as the weapon skills go. Oh shit. Well, that sucked. Well, I'm sorry. We lost all that work, but well, just real quickly. So here's what I don't know is, and we're gonna have to. It could very well be that that dagger is better than axe, and in fact, I think Raka looked at it and said that dagger was a decent amount better than axe. So yeah, I mean, for sure, it'll, at very least, it's worth testing. As it was in the beta, axe seemed better than dagger. Okay, well, we'll test. I mean, obviously, hardcore ranger mains like Raka will test this first thing, and we'll find out for sure when we see it in PvE. But yeah, I think that's the way to go with Soulbeast. It's gonna be basically just like a pretty much direct upgrade to. It's gonna be a pretty much direct upgrade to Beast Mastery, because we used to have Beast Mastery in this slot, and this is gonna give you 7% more power damage. It's going to give you a lifesteal on poison, which is not nothing. It's going to give you 5% physical and 5% Condi damage, and 10% Condi duration and 10% damage. So it just seems way better to use Soulbeast instead of Beast Mastery. Because right now, I think for the most part, Condi Ranger is dead in the PvE meta. It's just outclassed by too many builds. But this build is entirely possible that Soulbeast gives it enough buffs. I mean, we're looking at essentially just between these two traits, I don't know, probably close to 20% damage from where it is now. So Soulbeast getting 20% more damage in a Condi build than the current Condi build will put it right back in the meta. And of course, you'll always be able to have like if need be, you can always bring Sun Spirit instead of the trap, or you can bring any spirit instead of the trap, or any utility really. So there is merit to Soulbeast, and I think it'll make Condi viable again. Now, I know a lot of people are speculating about power builds for Soulbeast, and I don't know. I don't think the power build will do as much. It's possible. It's entirely possible that power has potential. It'll take a bit of testing to figure it out. Here's the problem with the power build is they have essentially two power weapons, the sword and the greatsword. I don't think the sword has any chance of being good in a power build, just because the damage is so fucking low with the auto attacks, and it doesn't really have a big heavy hitting skill to take advantage of. Like one of the big things is Sikkim giving you a fucking huge benefit, and what's the other one? The other where is it? Which is the one? Like the big benefit would be like Sikkim to give you like a shit ton more damage, but there's nothing on this bar. Even if you have like offhand Warhorn for Hunter's Call or offhand Axe for Path of Scars, there's really nothing that you can use during Sikkim to really like blow your DPS up. Longbow entirely possible, but like rapid fire, it just seems bad. I think greatsword is probably the only thing, because you can like quick draw Maul, and Maul will hit really hard. Especially if you go like Sikkim, quick draw Maul, 2 second, like 1 second later another Maul. That's pretty damn high damage coming in. But the problem is, what can it do for sustained DPS? I mean, you're probably going to have to use dagger on swap for sustained DPS, but even then, like the dagger coefficients of these skills, I mean, these are weaker than the sword auto. So for sustained DPS, I don't know. You might need longbow. I don't know. It just seems. It seems that the whole thing revolves around Sikkim burst, but is that even good? Like. So then the question becomes, like, why would anyone ever... Let's say this is good enough to get you to, like, 33,000 DPS or whatever the meta DPS is. Why would anyone play this? What does it do that Ellie doesn't, or that Holosmith doesn't? This doesn't stack any might. It doesn't, like, give, like, any fury to your team unless you use, like, some random pet. But I don't know. I don't know that there's much of a selling point to the power build. Definitely worth experimenting, and I encourage people to experiment, because unless we try new things, we're never going to like get anywhere. And so people, of course, have to try new things. But day one, I don't think that we're gonna see too much from power, although I'm sure people will definitely try, and I hope they do, and I hope it turns out that it is good. And it's usable. But what I fear is that this greatsword auto attack chain is going to be the death of it. If you could just double the damage of all the greatsword auto skills, then you'd be in fucking business. But I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. What's up, Epic dude? All right. All right. So Scourge. I honestly don't know what to make of Scourge in PvE. As a pure Condi build, I don't know if it does more than Reaper. I think, unfortunately, Reaper has Deathly Chill, and that is going to just be really, really hard to overcome for Scourge. Scourge, the one advantage of Scourge is it has a shit ton more of support options, but does anyone care about the support? That's what matters. And how much do you invest in the support? I saw a build that people were showing, and I even played around with it a little bit, where you play with staff, and staff gives you, and you play with the trait that gives your marks give you life force. Well, with that much life force, you can just spam your F skills, and you just put so much barrier out and so much damage with the torment that it actually does stuff. But I don't know that it's even gonna be good. It's gonna take a lot of one. It'll take a little bit of testing on the golems to figure out if like a pure DPS build with scepter and torch with dagger on swap. I would imagine that you would switch between the two. Will it be any good? I don't know. Will it be better than Reaper? Don't know. We'll have to test. The big question, I think, for Scourge is whether or not the barrier is worth using. The other cool thing that Scourge can do, and it sucks that you have to pick, it says, so you have this awesome trait here, Fell Beacon. Gain expertise based on your condition damage. This is just great. I mean, you get like a shit ton of Condi duration and it reduces your torch skills. But Abrasive Gift, people very, very much underestimate this. Granting ally barrier gives a might. So one thing that people aren't really talking about with the Scourge is that you will be able to stack a ton of might on your party. People are like, well, why do we need that? Because we have Warrior and we have potentially Weaver that can also stack might. But this is but whereas Warrior and Weaver are sort of like more offensive might stackers, this will also at the same time be, if you build around, like I said, staff and life force to allow you to spam your F skills, you'll be putting out a crap ton of might and a crap ton of barrier, and maybe those defensive tools, maybe it just makes your team so god mode because you're putting out so much barrier. You're putting out barrier faster than you can take damage from most raid bosses, that maybe it just lets your team be god mode. And we have this Necro that stacks 25 might and god modes his whole team. Like, that's pretty strong. Like, you can just build around just on the might stacking deal. It's just so good. So yeah, but if you go more DPS, there's options there too. So we'll have to see what works best, whether or not it will pan out. For sure though, where is Soul Reaping? Doomfire is going to be very, very good with the shades. Doomfire, even with the Life Force build, will be sweet, because with the Life Force build that spams might and barrier, you are putting out really, really high amounts of, these are all going to proc your Doomfire as well. So yeah, whether or not, I mean, the simplest way to build it at the beginning is just going to be to go more of a personal DPS route. Where is it? Which one do we want? I think we want that one. Yeah. And then curses. Terrifying Descent, Plague Sending. Master of Corruptions, of course. And then Lingering Curse. So yeah, you would probably want to use traits somewhat like this. You would want Scepter Torch and then Scepter Dagger on swap. That way you can use your Enfeebling Blood and then be able to swap back and take advantage of Torch and just use that rotationally. I have no idea what the rotation would look like, but it would probably be somewhat easier to play than the Reaper, because you don't have to manage going into Shroud, using Shroud skills and coming out. But yeah. And then, of course, I think you go with Viper. Always Viper. And I'm sure some amount of whatchamacallit would be better. But anyway, you guys get the drift. Probably use very similar gearing to what we already have. Yeah, and anyway, so that's that. We've already covered Ellie, skipped over Warrior because I don't think Spellbreaker is going to be worth a damn. And I'll touch on Spellbreaker real fast to explain why I don't think it's going to be very good. Well, obviously we already know that the attacks are just fairly weak, and where is it? Like, there aren't a lot of damage boosting traits. There's not a lot going on. So here's the reason, and then I'll show you the big reason here. Berserker's power, you have to do 3 bursts into every 10 seconds. So 3 bursts every 10 seconds. Let's say that we have main hand dagger, offhand axe, and then on this side we have main hand axe, offhand dagger. Well, this has, and let's say we have, let's go with discipline even, and we'll take burst mastery. Although axe mastery pretty damn good. Yeah, that's probably only worth using axe mastery. So here's the problem. Even if you were weapon swapping on cooldown due to fast hands, you're going to run into the fact that you can't burst 3 times in 10 seconds. It's just not possible. The only way it's possible is if you're using full counter as well. Well, what if you're in a fight where there's nothing to block? Like, let's say you're doing keep construct burn phase, and there's nothing to block with your full counter. Well, you're fucking shit out of luck. You're not going to be able to max out Berserker's power. It's just not going to happen. And that's just like it's too much. Power Warrior was already hurting. It's just hard to imagine that it'll be good with 7% less. I just don't see that the whole build being based around landing full counters on cooldown will work. It's just unlikely. But yeah, for PvP and World v World, of course, full counter is amazing. I mean, full counters, when you trait, and like all the things that full counter gives you that you can trait for, it's just amazing in PvP. But PvE, you're gonna it only works in encounters where full counter does something. Really, you're better off with Berserker for PvE. All right, Guardian, Firebrand. This is the most interesting one, I think. All right, so let's do Radiance and Virtues. All right, so Radiance, right hand strength. Zealot's Fury and Amplified Wrath. Then we go. What is that? Unscathed Contender, which kind of sucks. Then Permeating Wrath. Permeating Wrath is really OP for Condi. So anyway, we'll see. Where's Axe? Axe Torch, obviously. We don't want Vipers actually. I think it's possible that did they add Grievers to this? Oh, they did. Nice. We have Griever stats, boys. So pure DPS, we can do, and I'm not saying Grievers is going to be better than Sinister. Not saying Grievers is going to be better than Sinister, but at least worth a shot checking out, because the Axe, as you'll see, actually has decent coefficients. Where is it? Condi duration. We already have burning 20%. OP. And then we go with, where is it? Balthazar runes. So this is the second class we've looked at that I think will use Balthazar runes. I mean, maybe that's a hint. I don't know. Puts us at 65, and then we use Condi damage, Condi duration. I mean, Fire Meat Chili, that puts us to 80. And then Smoldering will get us... Oh, we haven't even picked our things here. So, hold on. I'll finish doing this first. So we'll just say Smoldering and Bursting for now. So this is probably like a likely setup for pure DPS Firebrand. So we'll say from a pure DPS standpoint, you would want the axe skills inflict bleeding. Legendary lore, OP, and then you want Lore Master for your virtues. Your virtue passives while they're on cooldown. So one thing that yeah, you're right. You probably do want that then. So anyway, so Lore Master combos insanely well with Permeating Wrath. Permeating Wrath, I assume they're gonna have this fixed. It seemed to be bugged in the beta weekend, but Permeating Wrath and Lore Master are super good because it lets you use your Tome of Justice. How do we toggle that? There we go. Oh no. It lets you use your Tome of Justice, especially which is especially powerful Ashes of the Just, to and you can use it, activate it, use your skills, and still get the bonus from Permeating Wrath, which is sort of what makes it good. Yeah. So someone asked, why wouldn't you take Flame Legion runes? It's possible you might. This has a bit more burning duration. If you can make that up elsewhere, then sure, but I don't think that you necessarily can. You definitely want to be able to, you definitely want to hit 100% burning duration. That's for sure. Yeah, and I'm not saying Flame Legion runes won't be. I just don't know that it will be the best outcome. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that Flame Legion runes would mean that I mean, obviously the Sigil of Bursting is terrible. You can do better than Sigil of Bursting. So it's not a big deal to drop Bursting and take Malix. But honestly, I don't think that you necessarily want to do that. Like if we look at the axe skills, the axe skills have actually very high power coefficients, like very high power coefficients. So I don't know. It's possible that you want Flame Legion runes, but I don't know if that you want to. No, Huddy, this is for PvE. So yeah, that's just the most simple way to play it out of the box is DPS, pure DPS day one. You don't necessarily need to use Griever stats. You can use Sinister. Sinister might be higher DPS. It just depends on the balance between. It depends on the balance between burning and power damage. We'd have to benchmark that, but yeah, I'm just throwing Grievers on here because it's fun. All right, so then let's refundo all this stuff. Let's talk quickness. More fun stuff. All right, so quickness, you're going to want Liberator's Vow. When you give quickness to allies, when you use your healing skill, which will be very, very useful. When you grant Aegis of Stability, you grant quickness. Also very powerful. And I think you still want Lore Master because you still want to be able to use those skills. I don't think... So the trap trait here is Quickfire. People are like, oh my god, it's a quickness build. Quickfire is really, really good. So Lore Master is going to be better overall than Quickfire, in my opinion. Maybe it'll benchmark better to have Quickfire, but I do not believe so. I do think that Lore Master is going to be overall better because, again, Permeating Wrath is OP. for sure. Alright, so then, where is it you want? Actually, it doesn't even matter which heal skill you use, although I think in raids everyone uses Litany of Wrath. Where's the Condi damage? Signet, Condi damage Signet, really strong. We want the Stability Mantra. Stability Mantra, very good. Stability Mantra is going to be silly on certain bosses like Matthias. When you get to the Storm phase, you can just push out the Stability Mantra, and you can ignore the Storm mechanic. I know a lot of people use Nature Spirit on their Druids now, but this will allow you to have the same effect, or a very similar effect to that, only you're doing it on an offensive class at the same time. Oh yeah, you want the Heal Mantra, for sure, because the Heal Mantra is going to give you a whole bunch of quickness. And then we go with the Quickness Mantra. Where is it? You go with the Quickness Mantra, pretty strong, and then the Burning Mantra. Okay, so in the beta, Stand Your Ground was bugged to give 10 seconds of quickness base. It was broken, essentially. You just pressed this one thing, and it gave your whole raid essentially perma-quickness. I think you're on crack if you think it's gonna be that way. When the game launches, I do think they'll have that fixed. But the way this works, you'll be able to have very much near perma quickness by using the heal every time that comes up, every time this comes up, and every time Mantra of Liberation comes up. As far as gear, I think that entirely possible that you will want. Where is it? I think Seraphs is really strong here from a support perspective. Where's Condi duration? I would go again, in this case, Balthazar. And I'm sure there's like there's a min-max here. You don't necessarily want to go full Seraphs. There's probably a min-max breakpoint to hit, but you get nice boon duration there, and we are at 80% burning duration. So then we're going to go with a smoldering sigil, and then the coolness of not cleansing for sure, concentration. The second weapon set is just filler. You'll probably go like axe and axe torch, axe torch, and you'll swap just for concentration sigil. You'll want to because I found in beta weekend when I was playing that my mantras all came up sort of at the same time, and I would go boom, 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 boom. Then when they came up again, boom, 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 and you would go swap. Boom, 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 boom. I don't think you need the shield. You could use shield. I think you're just better off with Mantra of Flame just to do a little bit more damage. This should be enough between the heal, the quickness mantra, and the elite. It should be enough. You think Scepter's better than Axe? I don't know about that. Maybe because you don't interrupt your auto attack. Or it doesn't matter if you interrupt your auto attack. It's entirely possible, because you don't want to interrupt your auto attack chain, because the last one is the one that actually does damage. But yeah, and the one good thing too with this is that you have decent heals with your, since we have Seraph's gear. This setup has a pretty decent amount of healing power, so you will be able to have a little bit of support with the Tome of Resolve. Not too often, but comes on. But anyway, yeah, you could very easily go Scepter on there, and it really won't change much. The only difference is, I think... Oh, crap, we lost it. And then Smoldering. So you'll have Concentration Sigil. When your mantras come up from the little recharge and you get a new charge, you'll swap weapons, get your bonus boon duration, and knock it out. Seems pretty good. Well, I don't know that it's more brain dead than DH, because you still have to manage all that while also going into your tome, because these deal like pretty scary damage. Like the Ashes skill is really OP. The Ashes of the Just, the Igniting Burst is OP. Even the auto attack's decent. Like, I don't know. There's cool stuff. I think there's a lot of potential here. Now, the big question everyone has is, well, why would we ever use this instead of a Chrono? The problem with this is, as people said, Chrono does quickness as well, and Chrono does alacrity. So, with that said, I want to talk about Revenant. So, Revenant right now, I don't think it has enough alacrity to get the job done. Even if you went with Salvation, I don't think you get it there. I'm hoping that we see a buff to... Where is it? I'm hoping that we see a buff to Serene Rejuvenation. Right now, it's 3 seconds of alacrity every 4 seconds. I would like this to be buffed to like 5 seconds of alacrity. That would make this worth using. And additionally, it would, if we could have the where is it? If we could have Orders of Above buffed heavily, like I think when you trait for this, it does 6 seconds of alacrity. It needs to be more like 12 seconds of alacrity. This should be like base 6 and traded 12. And then between those two, then you could have a very legit Ventari Callus build that would be Condi based, but at the same time have decent healing and alacrity. So let's say ANET goes ahead and does buffs this, and they do buff Serene Rejuvenation. Well, then you've got alacrity, perma-alacrity coming from your Rev. Well, if you have perma-alacrity coming from your Rev, then you can go back and play the Firebrand quickness build. So I think there would be some synergy there. You'd have, and this would have a decent amount of healing, even in full Vipers. Even in full Vipers, this would have a decent amount of healing, very much like Condi Druid. So, like right now in HOT, we have the combo of Mesmer and Condi Druid that sort of covers heals, quickness, alacrity. And in POF, you could have the combo of Revenant and Guardian that covers quickness, heals, and alacrity. The best part too is that Druid Grace of the Land affects 10 people, and there's a pretty good chance that Spirits will affect 10 people. In which case you only really need one Druid, and then it opens the door completely to using something like this. So yeah. So one thing I want to touch on for Revenant is how broken this elite skill is. This would be ridiculously broken. So, when you activate this, everyone in your party gets lifesteal. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no ICD on this as of the last demo. if you have a spec that hits insanely hard, it will just literally fill up their health, or not hit hard, hit frequently. It's huge. It buffs everybody in your group by at least 3,000 damage. Some of them 6,000 damage a second buff while this is on, upwards of that. It's fucking nutty. It's really nutty. So this is a big selling point. Even if you don't activate any of these, although I think one of them was worth activating in the beta. I think Razor Claw's Rage was worth activating. Without an ICD, I don't know if you want to use your energy on anything other than this. I almost hope that this is changed at release, because right now, Soul Cleaver Summit, there's literally nothing worth using energy on that's better than this. It's like you turn it on and all of a sudden your group is doing 40k more DPS a second. Like, how is this not the most powerful thing in the game to do? So I don't know. Most likely the out of the box day one build for Rev will be Malik's Callus. When you're on, and then you'll have, where is it? Mace Axe. When you're on Malik's, you'll have obviously the very OP elite skill, and then you'll be able to do your normal rotation of 2 and 3 along with autos. And then when you swap to Callus, you'll obviously want to turn on Soul Cleaver Summit, and you'll pretty much just have energy to auto with. Seems pretty good. As far as traits, we definitely won't be using that. We'll use Devastation. Ferocious Strikes. Assassin's Presence. And then I don't know. I think that this is going to be better in a Condi build, Assassin's Annihilation, but I don't know. We'll see. And then that. Abyssal Chill. And then Diabolic Inferno. Alright, so Callus. Fury increases duration of bleeds. Gaining Fury inspires you with Callus favor. Blah. Blah. Alright. Your short burst heals now pierce. Bleeds you inflict do more damage. Whatever. And then we want the maximum stacks there. The Lasting Legacy is OP. It gives you a 20% outgoing common damage buff. Yeah. So there we go. And then gear is going to be, no doubt, straight Viper. And then, where is it? I believe the runes are going to be Nightmare Trapper. Don't quote me on that. But I think that is it. Copy, please. Oh, duh. I was hitting the wrong thing. Do I think Shortbow will be used on the Renegade? No, I do not. And Koi Cake and Toxic Focusing Crystal. So, there we go. I don't know what sigils to use. I would imagine that you want... Malice. I don't know, is Geo worth using? Because you don't really have that high of bleed duration. I don't know. Anyway, other people will figure it out. I don't know what Condi Rev does right now. I can take a look really quick. Yeah, I guess Malice and Geo. So yeah, unweapon swap Geo. No, I don't have the same runes on all the armor. You want to mix and match? You want to mix and match Nightmare Trapper? So, most likely this will be like the default setup that everyone tries out of the box day one for like, it's nutty that they made that work like that. Crazy. For Callus, you will, like I said, when you're on Callus, you'll pop your elite and just auto attack, go to town. You'll swap to Malix, pop your elite, and then do 2-3 autos, 2-3 autos, and I think Temporal Rift is worth doing too. So you go Temporal Rift, then 2-3 autos, etc. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very straightforward build. I think there's a lot more to this potential spec than most people are thinking. Like, as I was discussing, very, very much theory crafting. Definitely not anything that's realistic would be the salvation-based alacrity build, but that requires major buffs to Serene Rejuvenation and requires major buffs to Orders from Above. Hopefully we get both of those things, and then that opens the door for this to be a very viable like heal spec. What will make this a viable heal spec is alacrity, so hopefully we get to see that. Yeah, so that's it for Renegade. Now, everyone's favorite, Holosmith. No, I'm going to be coming back to that. So, Holosmith. A lot of people are suggesting that Holosmith should still use rifle. I do not believe that that is correct whatsoever. Explosives and firearms. You definitely want sword, pistol. Blowtorch, too good, too good. And we want, where is Throw Mines? Laser disc, OP. And then where's Photon Wall? And I don't know. You can. I don't think the Prime Light Beam is very good. Probably just go with the Mortar Kit. Yeah, this would be the raid dude. So now these utility skills you obviously swap around, but I think that, I mean, this could even be rifle turret or whatever. Or yeah, like rifle turret, very strong as well. All right, so that gets refunded. That gets refunded. That gets refunded. All right, so power. Where are we? Berserker. Always Berserker. Then we go with that, and where is it? Huh, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so we go with that. So the big question is, what runes do we want? We'll have to see. For now, I would say Scholar is the safe choice. Scholar isn't likely to be bad, put it that way. Scholar, always a safe choice. Potentially, though, you could see... It depends, because this build does make a lot of burns. And when you make as many burns as this build puts out, Flame Legion starts to become really good. Especially since we're using Blowtorch on swap, and we have a lot of passive burns, as you'll see with the traits. When we get to the traits, Flame Legion becomes really good, and for a normal build, I mean, you have to keep, like, Scholar has to dip below, like, 30% uptime for Flame Legion to be better, but this makes so many burns that it's entirely possible that Flame Legion is meta. I'm just going to put Flame Legion on. We can just pretend that it's meta for now. And then we're going to go permanent bonus, force, and permanent bonus on critical hit, force and air. Alright, so there's a couple ways to do the traits. First, we'll do explosives. Where is it? Glass cannon. Big bomber. And shrapnel. Pretty much aids. High caliber. Where is it? No. Pinpoint distribution, so you still get loved by your friends. And then modified ammo. Pretty OP. Would Grievers work? I don't think you do. I mean, it could, but I think with Holo you're better off going either full Condi or full power. There's definitely different ways to do this. So the trait that I really like is Solar Focusing Lens at the Adept level. It makes your auto attacks when you go into Forge inflict burning. Or your first few attacks, not necessarily auto attacks, but it makes them inflict burning, which is really good. Then you have Crystal Configuration Storm, Crystal Configuration Eclipse, and Crystal Configuration Zephyr. The one we want is Configuration Storm because it's badass and it does extra nastiness. Now we come to the Grandmaster, where there is a very big choice to make. So we have Photon Blasting Module, which is what people call the blow yourself up build. With this, if you go with Photon Blasting Module, when you go into your Forge thing, your heat fills up, and it keeps filling up, and it doesn't go away, and you just basically camp it until you blow up. So what's the benefit of that? You gain Laser's Edge. So you have a permanent 15% damage boost. So you can keep the perma 15% damage boost up, like I said, perma. For me, I don't think this is worth it. For one, if you use Photonic Blast Module, you're going to be camping Sword Pistol quite a bit. And you're going to be camping it when you're at very low heat, which means you're going to then have to use Bomb Kit. Because the Bomb Kit, because you'll use your Refraction Cutter, you'll use like your Blowtorch, and you won't want to use autos, you'll want to use Bomb Kit. I would like to move away from fucking Bomb Kit, as I'm sure most of you would. I honestly think that Enhanced Storage Capacity is better. Enhanced Storage Capacity also makes it a more fun rotation. Essentially, you're going to go into Photon Forge. You're going to use your OP skills till you get right about full, right before you're starting to take damage. Swap back out. So at that point, you're going to have 100 and like 40 heat. Well, Refraction Cutter, when you're above that heat level, I wish I could adjust the heat level on here. That would be so nice if I could adjust the heat level. But Refraction Cutter, when you are above the 100 heat mark, when you're above this, it hits for like, in PvE, it's going to hit for like 60 or 70k. Maybe a little bit less, maybe like 60k. But it's going to fucking hit hard. And that's when you take the bleeds into consideration, by the way. Because what it does is it does 2 additional bleeds over 50%, and then it does another 2 additional bleeds over 100%. So it hits really fucking hard. So you'll max out your heat, exit, spam Refraction Cutter, and then autos to cool down Refraction Cutter. Your heat will diminish to about 50%. You'll get another Refraction Cutter in, and then boom, you can go back into Forge, repeat, your heat will go back up, you drop back out, and you'll spam the number 2 and the number 1 skill again. And that's basically what the rotation is. Obviously, you want to use Laser Disc on cooldown. So anyway, I think that is the build that has the most potential. The Blow Yourself Up build is like super lazy, and it might even be better. Like we obviously have to see on the golems what's better. But I'm inclined to believe that this is better just because your skills get so much better when you're over the 100 heat threshold, you do like a sick amount more of damage. So then, that said, there's another way to play it. Like, so you don't necessarily need to take explosives. You can go with tools. And the big reason that you would go with tools is for static discharge. Where is it? Do takedown round and then kinetic battery. So, what you would want to do then? Get rid of that. Where's the one that gives me the other? We definitely want rifle turret. There's one of the. No, not you. Photon wall? Yeah. Alright, so with static discharge, you take photon wall and rifle turret. You see this has an 8-second cooldown, or 6-second cooldown with tools, and then with alacrity even less. So if you have static discharge, you are fucking spamming your F2 and or wherever you have your rifle turret and your photon wall. You're just spamming them here and getting static discharge procs. It is entirely possible that this is higher DPS. Got to test that. This makes the I like the enhanced capacity storage build because it has a bit more key presses. It's higher APM, guys, than the blow yourself up build. But when you add on top of it the static discharge, you get even higher APM because you're blasting these skills as well throughout the rotation. So it's a shit ton of procs, and it doesn't cost your team anything because you still bring pinpoint, and you get sweet static discharge. The kinetic battery, I mean, you could also use adrenaline implant, but I think kinetic battery is better for there. But yeah, anyway, that's sort of that's the Holosmith. We spent a little bit of time on it because I'm much like Firebrand. I'm very hyped for this. I think that this is going to be super fucking fun to play. Especially, I really hope that the tools version is better because I like the static discharge gameplay. You get to use a lot of skills and it'll have a very rewarding rotation. I think everyone will enjoy that rotation quite a bit. So that's what I'm hyped for. Alright, so let's look at Deadeye real quick. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention before we go back, before we go to Deadeye, is you can play Condi. If you have like Condi NG right now and you're into Condi NG, you can do the same exact thing that you're currently doing with Condi NG, only replace tools with Holosmith and just build around the burning. Normally, in a power build, you're probably not going to want to use Photon Blitz, but in a Condi build, Photon Blitz is going to be really fucking sick. So yeah, I do believe that Holosmith will be an upgrade on tools for Condi NG, or perhaps even an upgrade on explosive. Well, not on explosives because of shrapnel, but yada yada. Anyway, you get it, the drift. That I think you'll be able to play Condi or power, and I think everything will look good there. So Deadeye, one of the things that's really cool with Deadeye is that there is like a might stacking build out there that people have shown that can do like easily 25 might for your whole party. That's pretty cool, to be honest. But I don't really want to go over that because I don't know if there's a place for that. And you give up a lot of DPS to you give up a lot of DPS to do that might stacking thing. So where is it? I don't know which mid trait to use here. Anyone who's a Deadeye want to let me know which one to go with? I would just imagine Peripheral Vision. It doesn't seem like these don't seem to be that. I don't think Silent Scope are really going to do anything. But anyway, Deadly Arts. We would go with Silent Scope, even with a dagger build. See, I'm envisioning dagger. Okay, we'll go with Silent Scope. Dagger training, although Mug is also legit. Revealed training. So here's the problem with dagger, and here's the problem in general with dagger in raids. Yeah, I don't know. Just go with Peripheral Vision. So in raids, a lot of the bosses give you perma revealed, and you can't lose the revealed debuff. So you're in a situation where you can't really cloak and dagger backstab. Without being able to cloak and dagger backstab, doesn't really work. My hope is that they address that before release and they do some kind of where is it? There we go. And they address it so that we can play stealth using builds. I'm not even gonna bother with the gear. You guys fucking know how to gear a Berserker Thief. Where is that cantrip that does a fucking shit ton of damage? That one. And where's that? And the elite. So, yeah, the elite skill removes stealth. And so here's the cool thing that with the elite skill, it has, so you activate it, or you don't activate it. It has 2 charges. It's an ammo system skill. What you can do is you can go Cloak and Dagger, Backstab, Elite Skill, Backstab. It's pretty cool. So your opening burst will be pretty sick. You go Cloak and Dagger, Backstab, Elite Skill, Backstab, and then you could go Elite Skill again and Backstab again, and just do like fucking sick back-to-back backstabs. So I really like Shadow Meld. I probably wouldn't burn up the the two stealths. It's probably worth it to keep it from going on cooldown and just using it once every however often the cooldown comes up. Doesn't Backstab have a 5-second cooldown? No, well, no, because this takes away your revealed debuff. Normally you have to wait for the revealed debuff to go off, before you can go again. But this skill overrides that. It strips your revealed and allows you to backstab again. So if, as Base says, that they do fix that, I think that it makes Dagger Deadeye quite decent in raids. Will it be better than Staff Daredevil? I don't know. I think it's possible that it will be. I think the Magnificent 7 is pretty good. Obviously, your damage will fluctuate over time. But what you could do is you could wait till you have max malice and then just go Cloak and Dagger, Backstab, Elite Skill, Backstab, Elite Skill, Backstab while you have max malice and just do fucking nutty damage. And then do a normal rotation the rest of the way. So yeah, that's my my thought there on Deadeye. Rifle, I don't think Rifle is going to work for PvE. Well, Rifle's going to be great in open world PvE. You're going to see a lot of Rifle Deadeyes in open world PvE. But in raids, I think Dagger will be the way to go. And yeah, I think that this has potential to be better than Staff Daredevil. And I mean, if you play Thief, like if you're like a hardcore Thief player, you probably want Dagger to be better. I don't want to speak for you, but like when I was first attracted to the Thief class when Guild Wars 2 first came out, it was to play Dagger, like and to fucking do massive backstab damage. So that's what's attractive to me about the class. That's the play style that I think is the most fun for the class. And I think prancing around with the staff, while it's cool that it does decent damage, I think that this is much more on theme than that. So yeah, well, the malice will fluctuate up and down, but what you do is you time your heavy backstab with Shadow Meld for that. So anyway, I think that if this is better than Staff Daredevil, everyone's going to be really happy, and it'd be nice. So yeah. All right, Condi Mesmer. Quickly. Basically, Mirage is going to be an upgrade on Condi Mesmer and Illusions. So you would go Mirage, Dueling Illusions. You replace Chaos in the rotation or in the traits. Let's see. But that does cost you a bit of Condi duration. So let's see. We're gonna go. So then the question becomes, for Mirage, do you use Axe or do you use Scepter? I personally think Axe is going to be the way to go. And then you'll have Torch there and Pistol there. It doesn't really matter which way you do that. You could do Torch there, Pistol there, since that's sort of like the main way to do it. Oh, hey, Lushy. What's up, dude? Yeah, Guardian's going to be... Firebrand's going to be pretty fucking good. Since we don't have Chaos, you lose a bit of Condi duration. So we go there. Condi duration. Koi Cake. And we want Geo, and then what is it? Malice. And then again, you can. So here's a interesting thing. If you don't have Nightmare Trapper runes, like, they're gonna be pretty valuable. Hold on, let me stop doing that like an idiot. I believe that this will become Nightmare Trapper. All right. So then we have Signet of Midnight. Boom. And then, yeah, then obviously you'll be able to get rid of Malice with that. Or you can put in, like, other things. You can min-max it. I'm sure that there'll be a min-max version of that. But essentially, the whole point is you... So one thing that a lot of people miss, that a lot of people are missing with Mirage as far as DPS goes, is that the clone for the axe inflicts Condis. So like the sword clones, they do like an auto attack that's complete bullshit that don't do anything. And so people are used to clones not doing any damage. Well, axe clones inflict, I believe, torment. Axe clones inflict torment, which means you what you'll be able to do is with the Signet of Ether. So when the fight starts, you can go duelist, axe clone. A duelist is going to do about 3,500 DPS, maybe 4,000 DPS in a fully buffed raid. Someone who plays Mesmer a bit more can correct me on that, but I think each duelist does around 4K DPS. Well, the axe clones do about like 3,200 DPS. So the axe clones are almost as powerful as the duelist. So the ramp-up time is cut down pretty heavily on the Mirage compared to the normal Condi mesmer. Normal Condi mesmer, you kind of have to wait till that third duelist comes up before you're doing full damage. But with the Axe Clone, you'll be able to start the fight, pop your 2 duelists, and then Axe Clone, and you're already basically like 90% of the way there. So, anyway, that's how I'm looking at Mirage. Where's dueling? Duelist Discipline, Fencer's Finesse, yeah, and Ineptitude. What's better? I don't know anything about yeah, I guess Compounding Power is better. And then Phantasmal Haste, of course, that's the fucking all-star. And then Phantasmal Force. So those are pretty strong. Yeah, I don't know. Phantasmal Haste is pretty strong, but Illusionist Celerity is also pretty strong. Like, those 2 traits, I mean, Illusionist Celerity is pretty good, so is... But then again, you don't necessarily need Shatter. Yeah. So there's a bit there, and then let's see where we go. Don't need to do that. Don't need to do that. Ambush Confusion. Yeah, these are kind of weak for PvE. Do that. So there. So anyway, there's reasonable and then we have what, Domination, and then I guess you can just go like Signet of Inspiration if you have no other use for that slot. Crystal Sands, let's see. Yeah, that actually seems pretty good. That's probably better than... Yeah, that's probably better than just random Signet of Inspiration. Or feed... Obviously, if you need feedback for, like, Matthias, you take feedback. And you can take that for Breakbar. But yeah, that seems fucking strong, actually. That's quite a bit of damage. So anyway, I understand completely why Mesmer mains are not happy. They don't feel that Mirage is transformative enough, because this is virtually the same playstyle that you were already... this is virtually the same playstyle you were already doing. It only changes a little bit. It's not transformative. It doesn't feel like a different elite spec. It just feels like the same elite spec. And I guess Soulbeast is sort of in that same ballpark as well. They don't feel like, it doesn't necessarily feel like a different elite spec. But I think for some reason people are much more happy with Soulbeast than they are for this. Yeah, and like Kat says, it just feels like Mesmer. It doesn't feel like, it just feels like a different trait line than Chaos. It doesn't feel like a different profession entirely. But yeah, so that's it. We kind of gone through everything that I wanted to touch on. So hopefully you guys dig this. If you missed anything that you want me to go over again, well, then you'll have to watch the VoD. But yeah, that's it. If anyone has any questions or any thoughts or whatever that they want to share before I go, now's the time to do it. But anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna find somebody to host, and I'm out of here. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I appreciate it. A lot of people tuned in for this. I wish I wish I had organized this a little bit more beforehand, but I sort of got inspired to do this. Where would be the best place to talk to me about video editing? I suck at video editing, so if you're asking me questions about it, there's better people to ask. And if you're trying to give me any tips, well, then you can just hit me up in game, I guess. So Healing Firebrand. Well, Healing Firebrand is Seraph Firebrand. So Healing Firebrand is Seraph Firebrand. The question is whether or not you're going to go, like, Seraph Firebrand with quickness and heals, or whether you're going to go pure damage. Although, actually, I'll stop. Before we go on, I do want to go over this. I want to show this build. There is a fucking cool build that you can do with Guardian or with Firebrand. So, and this has like very little chance of being meta, but you know, who knows? So let's see. We'll do the virtues, gain additional pages. Oh, no, we want quickness. We want quickness. We're going to go with the quickness, and then we're going to go with Lore Master. Actually, Quickfire there is better. Virtues, Unscathed Contender. And then we want Indomitable Courage. Wait, which was the one that you share? Oh, Battle Presence. There we go. So this is going to be like full heal tank build. Invigorating Bulwark got buffed. It's fucking good now. Empowering Might. And then Rid of Persistence. So this is sort of like a pure heal tank build. Will this be good? I don't think so. But maybe. So you're going to go Mace and Shield. And the gear is going to be... You wanted it, you got it. Where is it? Memestral. Why not Lore Master over Quickfire? Because this, you want this build to be the, Okay, well, I guess you could do that. Because we sort of already have that. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, alright. So Lore Master would be better there, you're right. I wasn't thinking about that. Then we go with Runes, Healing Power, Monk. Alright, so now we have a build with some fucking healing power. What gear off the bat should you aim for Firebrand? If you want to be absolutely 100% safe for Firebrand, go with Sinister. Yeah, you would want to go with Sinister. Where is it? Yeah. Yeah, so we have Lore Master and with Battle Presence. So between Lore Master and Battle Presence, and we're gonna have really good we're gonna have, so we'll have that passive, it's gonna be like passive whatever. I think it's like, what does it say? What does it say on the tooltip? 618 healing passive tick on our allies, which is really sick. And then we're also going to have the we're going to have a decent amount of regen coming out. Hopefully the Symbol of Faith doesn't get overwritten by the mesmer. But I'm envisioning this in a group that doesn't have a mesmer. You would only play a build like this in a group that doesn't have a mesmer, in which case the regen isn't really a problem. you'll have a really decent amount of everything going there. And then, where's the... I want the stab. And then... It doesn't... I don't know what else you would want here that would be... You don't really care about the searing. I don't even know what that does. What does this one do? Oh, that's the shitty one. Improves healing. Even stronger heals. Fucking OP. And then I guess you could do retreat. Add a little bit more quickness. But yeah, you have like really, really good healing power here. Plus you can always go into your tome. And you have even more healing. So this build, super tanky. We didn't do sigils yet. Obviously you would do like on hit. Where's water sigil? I mean, there might be, you might even want like the whatchamacallit concentration sigil, but I don't necessarily think so. And then transference, and then oh my god, the healing is so good. Where is it? Rice cakes, and then although that doesn't really work because we don't have any power or condition damage, but I guess that's the best you can do. So anyway, this build is just for fun. I don't think that this is at all good. I don't think that this is necessarily going to be meta. In fact, it has no chance of being meta. But it looks fucking fun. It's a very big heals. So if you need like a carry build, like for a boss that has tanking, like this has the potential to carry harder than a minstrel chrono, just because the heals are insane, the thing's like insanely tanky, and it does perma quickness just as well. But yeah, this is gonna be fun, and it's gonna have just really cool stuff. So yeah, that was the last build I wanted to show. I forgot all about doing it when I was covering the Guardian the first time. But yeah, it's kind of a meme, but it could be really good. But anyway, I am done, guys. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Thank you guys who hit the sub button tonight. I very much appreciate that. I will be back tomorrow for reset raids. So if you're not, hit a follow, and we will raid tomorrow evening, and I'll see you guys then. But anyway, have a great night, and if I don't see you tomorrow, see you on Friday for POF launch. We'll be going hard, unlocking the elite specs, re-gearing characters, exploring the new maps. I will do the story offline, so you don't have to worry about story spoilers. If I'm gonna turn on my stream a bit before the patch hits. We're gonna have a mukbang, a Chipotle mukbang, and the Chipotle mukbang will be delicious. And then we're gonna do a giveaway. We're gonna give away some gems, gem store stuff. We're gonna give away a couple precursors, and I'm gonna give away a POF account. So if you don't have an account yet, maybe you'll get lucky and win one on my stream before the launch. Then when it launches, we'll go hard. And I think about an hour after it launches, I'll be streaming on the official Guild Wars 2 channel. So it'll just be a pretty fun day. So anyway, if I don't see you guys tomorrow when I stream, then definitely check here on Friday. And we'll do this damn thing. All right, guys. Anyway, take it easy. Have a great night.